Hi, I'm August Keller, and this is my review of The Godfather. This is arguably the greatest movie of all time. I've reviewed hundreds of movies now, and this is one of only two movies I've given this high a score to. It's not necessarily my favorite, but I do think it's the best. I think maybe for someone who isn't used to seeing classics, they might not necessarily get it. This movie is almost 50 years old now, so there's some things that it does that we might take for granted today, but it pioneered at the time. It's also a slower movie, which is also not always something that people are into, but it's very well made, and I want to break down why. So, first and foremost, it's got a great downfall arc. Movies do that more these days. Breaking Bad is a show that does it really well, but, The Godfather is, to me, the quintessential one. I mean, I think to most people. It's just got the perfect downfall arc. The ending is so bitter and so earned and so meaningful. The conclusion really just kind of brings everything together, plot-wise, drama-wise, and thematically. The dialogue is very careful and thoroughly ironed out. There's a lot of tension just constantly brewing and building and building. It's very structured well, where it's never like too overt, but it's always there and just kind of rising at all times. The characters are very thoroughly developed. I mean, these characters are easy to do impressions of because they're just so defined. There's a lot of themes, like I said. The plot is very motivated, and there are a lot of symbols throughout the movie. The characters all have very distinct objectives, morals, and they're all contradicting themselves. There's a lot of subtext that contemplates the dichotomy between personal and business. Like when is it about family and your personal life, and when is it about making money, and when do those two things conflict? And I think that it also is a pretty good examination of the American dream. I know that's a kind of a cliche to bring up, but because we're talking about business and personal, and we're talking about a character that rises financially but maybe falls morally. It's a good critique of how important is it to make it in a country that's very much about making it. The acting is perfect. Brando and Pacino, those are two of the greatest actors of all time, and their career-defining roles. They have a lot of mannerisms, a lot of charisma, but like chilling charisma. Like they're scary. There's a lot of layers that are very subtle but very rich. The evolution is very gradual. Pacino's character changes so much, but it always feels earned, and it's just very controlled and very believable. So, yeah, The Godfather examines broad ideas like responsibility, power, morality, and tradition, while also delivering a relatable and exemplary protagonist. So it's very meaningful, but also very relatable, despite it being an extreme story. Technically, The Godfather is equally classic. It's got powerful tone. It's got a great pace. It's got a lot of juxtaposition and a lot of blocking. Like the characters, where they're placed in a shot, how they move through the space is so intentional and saying so much. The visuals are eloquent, with motion and framing and shadow and composition and color. And it's never flashy, but it's always so potent. It's so much there. Like just a slow push in with the camera can be one of the most iconic shots of all time. The editing has intercutting. There's a lot. That's another iconic use of intercutting. There's match cuts, dissolves, and montages that highlight relationships between characters, relationships between ideas, relationships between who a character is now and who they were. The sound design is very diegetic. It's all like within the reality of the movie, but there's a lot of motifs that build like stress and isolation and chaos and violence. There's just this undertone. I mean, one of the most iconic shots again, moments in the movie is accentuated by a train outside just uh, going by, and it really conveys meaning. The music is perfect. I mean, I think everyone knows the tune to Godfather. It's iconic. It's melancholy. It's got like a very like nostalgic, reminiscent kind of feel to it, and it's very suspenseful. It's kind of like it kind of like clashes with itself, but in a in a way that works because it's meaningful. The production design, of course, is also iconic. It's got real locations, symbolic costumes, like the way the characters dress. It changes and it conveys how they're changing. There's a lot of time passage and there's a lot of detail. It's an era, you know. It's set in the past, so that's always something that's hard for production design to do. The effects have explosions, gunshots, injury makeup, and prosthetics. The prosthetic for The Godfather, you know, his jaw looking the way it does is very iconic. So yeah, I think overall The Godfather optimizes filmmaking in every way. It's a masterpiece fundamentally in pretty much every way you can examine a movie. I know I'm not the first person to say that, but when you really look at it, there's just nothing that can be disputed, really. So yeah, if you're a movie fan, check it out. Obviously, I mean, it's long and it takes effort sometimes because it is slow paced. But if you like movies and you want to know what it means to make movies and how to examine movies, this is one of the best there is and worth looking at and really examining why. And I hope that I gave you some reasons why. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. If you like what I'm doing here, please feel free to like and subscribe. And you can also follow me on Instagram, which is linked in the description. But at the very least, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time. Okay, thanks. Bye.